Hello and welcome to Stockton Junction how-to video, and today I'm going to be doing seafoam trees, similar to the process I did for upgrading cheap trees. And what I did is I bought this box of seafoam, and as you can see there's still loads in there, and out obviously it was all squashed down, but that's about half the box. And that, I can't remember, I think it was about 30 quid, something like that. And as you can see from that, I've got all of these trees that I've pulled out. These ones have been sprayed in the brown already, so they'll go aside for now. What you will notice is, if you can pick it up on the camera, some of them are different colors. Like that one's got a bit of reddish, some are green, some are red, some are bits of other colors. So we can't really use them like that because they don't really look very realistic. So I'm going to paint them to start with, and what I'm going to be using for that, only because it's the only spray brown I've got at the moment, is this Tamiya paint, which, as I said, is this brown. I think it's reasonable. Some of those need a bit more spraying. So what I shall do is I shall spray these, and then we'll come back and do the next stage of starting to make the trees look like real trees. So I will see you in a bit. Welcome back. So now we're ready to start doing some of our trees. I've sprayed all of the sea moss armatures that I've placed there. Apart the ones at the furthest back, though, I ran out of paint, so I'm hoping they're going to be okay. What I will do is I'm going to do the main trees first, and then I'm going to also show you how to make realistic looking silver birch trees as well. So what I've got is, I'll just move the camera for a minute. Sorry, it's on charge at the moment. So I have 4 different colors of this sort of foamy tree foliage material, which we're going to start with, those 4 there. I've also got 4 lots of fine leaf foliage in 4 these 2 are pretty similar, but not quite, they're just slightly different shades. Got the lighter shade there, like a green, and that one there. So we're not going to be using those yet. The first stage is going to be just using the foam foliage to just build up our tree layers. And obviously I've got glue and a nice big thick paintbrush. A lot of people use hairspray to do this job. I don't like it. I think I've tried it before. I find that the foliage starts to drop off after some time. It doesn't affix as well, and also because we're going to be doing a 2-layer system, it needs to be fixed quite well for the first layer. So we're going to use the glue, and as always, Mod Podge matte, because then it dries matte color, doesn't leave any residue of glue showing. So obviously there are lots of little ones here which would be ideal for small little bushy trees, etc. What I'm just going to do, I'm just going to move the fine leaf foliages out the way first, just so that I've got a bit more room to work. And I can move these over a little bit, because these are the ones we're going to be using. So okay, right, so what I do tend to do is I've got another piece of this polystyrene over here, and what I do is I'll just put that there, slightly out of camera shot, but as I take them from this one do the first layer, I then put them over onto the other thing. So I'm just going to dip the end of the brush. It's a little bit like the dry brushing technique you want to, or a stippling technique. You want to get the glue onto the end of the brush. Don't worry about getting it all up here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to literally get a bit more on there. Just gently, because these are quite sort of brittle, the seafoam, just gently, sorry, tap it so we got this sort of bit on there. So, and then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to push that into foliage. You can pick it up and drop it on if you want, or a bit of both. I'm going to give it a very tiny little tap. And for the first stage, we have a rather nice looking, just zoom in, rather nice looking little bush. In fact, that one I would leave as is. That's ideal. Perfect little bush or young tree. So I'm going to just keep doing this. And I think this technique works very, very well. So this time I'm going to use a different colour. I have found that I don't tend to use as much of the really bright one. It just doesn't look quite as good in my opinion. I do use a couple in that, but not too much. Really get that in there so that all the bits of glue are covered with it. And again, it's our next tree. So I should do a nice big one now this time. Sometimes you might need, if you're doing a very, very big tree, is to do it in sections if the glue starts to dry, but I am blobbing quite thick blobs on, so it shouldn't be a problem. And what I tend to do is to, when I get the spindly trees, because I want to make some silver birches, they're quite thin, sort of narrow, tall, spindly trees with not a lot on. So what I should do is I'll show you the sort I mean in a minute, and which ones we were going to save for the silver birches. And they do look really good when they're done. I mean, you can use these seafoam trees straight out the box. I just don't think they look anywhere near as good and as realistic. So again, that would do for a tree if you wanted to leave it as that. You can, if you so wish, which I should show you, we'll get some fine leaf foliage. In fact, this is the sort of method I use for some trees. I like to have them all looking different. I don't want them all the same, because when you do look at a forest of trees, unless they've been planted by someone on purpose, they do tend to be all different shapes, sizes, colours and variations. And to be honest, when you're looking at your layout, the last thing you want to see is 10 trees all next to each other, all looking exactly the same. That is with just the fine leaf foliage on. Looks all right. I'm quite happy with that one. Obviously, when you're putting these in and out of your bit of polystyrene, be quite careful, because the twiggy bit could break, and you don't want it to break because you're going to need that when you go to put it into the into your layout at a later date. So what I should do is, I think I'll do a lot of these and then maybe come back. I'm sure you don't want to sit here watching me just do this same thing over and over and over again for the next hour. Obviously you can still see the white bits there. They will dry and disappear. So the other thing obviously that I do want to do is, when I'm putting these onto my board here, I want to try and separate the colours really, so that when we do the next stage they will look a bit different. What I will do is I'll just show you quickly the sort of trees that I would use for silver birch. We will go into the silver birch later. So something like this, very tall, spindly, lots of bark with only a few sparse branches on there. And what I'll do is I will come back shortly and I'll show you how we're going to do that. That one will be saved for later. Right, I will see you in a bit. Right, welcome back. We're now ready to do some of our silver birch trees. These ones here I've already painted. I don't know if you could see them in the background there. Yeah, just about. I've already painted the whites on these just so that they're ready for the next stage after I show you this one. I'm using Humbrol Matte 34, and I just will say my stalks haven't painted very dark because I ran out of paint. It was getting a bit thin. It works better with a nice dark brown base. But all we're going to do is literally paint. Sorry, just going to, hope you can see that there still, just about. Literally just going to paint some of the main branches with the white. Don't paint everywhere. Don't paint the whole branch solid. Literally just streak little bits on here and there. What you want is the bits of dark brown to show in between, because that is what gives it the real good effect. And what I'll do is I'll show you in a minute. I'm sure you've seen it on some of my other videos, the silver birches that I've already done. But basically that's it. Do a few of the side branches if you want, just to give it a bit better effect, in case any show through a little bit. And I shall leave that to the side because that one's only just been painted, so I'll put that on there. And then basically what we're going to do is we're going to now use the light green foliage. This is the Gauge Master Leaves Light Green GM156. Ideal colour for the silver birches. I've actually researched. I went out, took a lot of pictures of different silver birches when I was on holiday last year, just so that I could get an idea of what sort of colours are right and to match up. And these leaves here are almost perfect for the silver birches that I saw in England. So again, just going to do our gluing. And get it. I don't want it everywhere on this. So sparse little bit of glue. Just going to put the leaves sprinkled on. I always go from the sides to start with, just so that it gets in under the branches as well, and then usually lift it up and just sprinkle any glue droplets that are missing any leaves on. And we have silver birch, and that is pretty good colouring. Right, I'll go and just show you. It's a bit of a mess around here because I'm in the middle of a big change on the layout, but up in my farm area where my stables is, you can see the silver birches at the front there. There's a few at the back. They've done exactly that process, and I think they look really, really good. They look very realistic. So let's see if I can zoom in a little bit for you. You can see how I've left bits of the brown underneath. And that's using exactly the same process. I'll just give you a sneak peek at what's else I'm working on at the moment. So obviously I'm working on the farm area and the field over there, which I'm not going to go into at the moment because I'm doing another video on that at the moment. There's also going to be some big changes to the depot area. I previously spoke about where the depot was going to move to on a previous video, but that's changed again. I shall be doing another video as well on that and where it's going and what's going to happen. So that will be coming up quite soon, but I don't want to go into that too much at the moment because obviously I don't want to ruin the video for later on. So we spoke about the trees earlier with the foam material on. And I'm just going to move my silver birch off onto the done patch for now. Right, so we spoke about these foam trees, these two. I've got two here, and what I'm going to do is we're going to enhance the trees. They might still be a bit wet, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to grab one from a couple actually from the ones that I've done earlier. So I'm just going to move this camera a little bit so that you can see. Right, so here's two of the foam trees I worked on. What I'm going to do, just going to tap them to make sure that there's no loose stuff. And what I tend to do is on that bit of thing, brush this to the side. You can use that mixed up together for something else later. Doesn't matter if there's a mix of colours. Sometimes you can make up some quite nice little mixtures with stuff like that. So the next stage is the leaves. You could leave it like that and there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, some of the trees I make I will leave just like this, but to create more variety in the trees we're going to go for the next level. Now this, I'm actually putting less glue on than I did previously. I only want little blobs here and there. I do not want to cover the whole base colour. so that you've got both colours showing through. That's going to be the back of the tree, that side. Obviously it'll be showing that side, so I'm not too worried about the other side. And we've got two different colours of leaves. These are the knock, middle green. I've got Gauge Master ones as well. This stage here, if you don't get enough on, not a problem. If you want to add more, just leave it to dry for an hour or two and then go for the next stage. But I'm going to give it a little tap. And now what we've got, it's hard to see in that light, is you've got a two-tone tree. Hang on, it's really hard to see it in this light on the camera. It looks a lot better in when it's got the light on it. So hang on, what I'll do is I'll just go take it over here. Don't know if that shows it better. I don't know if you can see that, but it's got obviously more tonage to it where it's got the two different colours. Sorry for the quick camera movements there, but it's very hard to move around. I'm in a bit of a mess up here at the moment where I've got so many different little projects going on. As you can see, we're starting to get quite a varied little forest going on there. So again, same process. This one will probably show up a little bit better because it's a lighter colour. So I'm going to use the lighter foliage now. See how that comes out. You know, the cost of these boxes of seafoam trees, and if you get a bit break off like that, it's all good. I'm just going to put a bit of glue on that edge there. There's a little bush because it broke off. I always save these bits because they're ideal for a little bit on the line side or something. A little bush, as you can see there, ideal little bush. And obviously there you can see the tonage better on that one in this light. Don't know if I like that so much. I think I prefer that shading, but I do, to be honest, I do prefer quite a lot just the leaves on their own rather than the two mixtures. So I'll probably be doing a lot more of that, but I'm just going to do one of these big ones while I'm finishing off. Just wondering how the really light green leaves would look on it. Might give that a go. Obviously it's all about trial and error, and colour, what you want, what sort of, obviously you're going for different types of year. You won't want brighter leaves, you'll want all type darker ones, or reddish ones maybe for the autumn. I'll put a bit more in there. I'm just going to have a go at the light ones to see how they come out against this. I don't tend to use the lighter ones as much because I prefer to save those for the silver birches so that they stand out better. But when you do look at trees, you always see different shades and tones within one tree. And just going to put that down there. And that's that one done. Obviously they're a bit hard to see how good they look until they start going into position, start creating a big forest and woods areas. I think I'll be doing quite a lot more of these trees in the next hour or so, because I want to get all these finished, as I'll be using them for one of the other videos that I'm doing. So I just wanted to also add quickly before I go, somebody did ask me a little while ago if I'd do a video on how I made my platforms. I haven't forgotten about that video. It will be coming soon. I'm hoping to get it done this week. It'll only be a miniature version of a platform, you know, just the end of a platform, just so that you get the basic idea of how to build the whole thing and how I did it. My platforms are solid, really good, well, you know, they've come out well built using various different products, so it's a lot easier to just show you as it goes through rather than try and explain it. So I'll be doing that video soon. Little sneak peek just before I go of another video that I'm hoping to get done this week but may not. I'm going to be using the DCC Concepts Power Base. Now I'm going to do a full video on how to use it, how to set it up and everything. I'll also be doing a video on doing the third rail electric system, obviously not really electric, but using the third rail to make it look like you have the third rail system on your tracks, because I noticed that there aren't much in the way of videos of the third rail system, and I think a lot of people might benefit from that, so I shall be doing that as well. So there's a lot going on. Hopefully I'll get as much of it done this week as I can, but I'll definitely be doing more videos coming out later this week, so keep watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and please pass on my channel to anybody that you think may enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed watching it. Hopefully you might have learned some techniques about how to make some of these trees. I think they're pretty good, and obviously, you know, when they're in place they look the part. They sort of blend in with the ground. They blend, they are good. So, and they're cheap to make. You can make an awful lot of them for the money. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Goodbye.